All right, let's dive into something truly fascinating. We're going to explore a single mountain peak in Sri Lanka that, believe it or not, holds a deep spiritual meaning for nearly half the world's population. It's this incredible place where geology, faith, and ancient myths all converge on one single summit. So here it is on the map. This is Sri Padda, also known as Adam's Peak. It soars 2,243 meters over Sri Lanka's central highlands. But as you can probably guess, this is so much more than just a dot on a map or a big piece of rock. It's a sacred landmark, a kind of spiritual beacon that has been drawing people to its slopes for thousands of years. And this is the central mystery we're unpacking today. See, at the very top of this mountain, there's an impression in the rock, a single footprint. So the question is, how on earth did this one spot become a holy site for four of the world's major religions? Each one has its own unique and very different story about who made that mark. So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll look at the mountain's many different names. Then we'll dig into its deep geological past before we get to the competing claims over that sacred footprint. After that, we'll trace the long history of the pilgrimage, and finally, we'll see what the peak's role is in the world today.
Okay, first up, the name. Or, I should say, the names. As you'll see, each one tells a really important part of this mountain's story.
What's so cool is how each name gives you a completely different lens for seeing the mountain. For Buddhists, it's Sri Padda, which means the sacred footprint. For Muslims and Christians, it's Adam's Peak. Nature lovers actually know it as Samnalakanda, or Butterfly Mountain, because of these amazing butterfly migrations. And to honor its guardian spirit, it's also called Sumanakuta. Four names, four totally distinct perspectives on the very same place.
But you know, way before any footprint was claimed, before any gods were even named, the mountain itself went on this absolutely epic journey across the globe. It's a story written in stone that unfolded over hundreds of millions of years.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It's mind-blowing. This piece of land started out as part of the supercontinent Gondwanaland, way down near Antarctica. Then it drifted north, got shaped by the same massive collision that created the Himalayas, and finally, just 7,000 years ago, became the island of Sri Lanka we know today. What a journey!
And all of that ancient history leads us right here. The mountain's sacredness to humans is perfectly matched by its importance to the natural world. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a biodiversity hotspot, just teeming with plants and animals you can't find anywhere else on Earth.
Okay, now we get to the heart of it all. That strange depression in the rock at the very top. Let's really look at the different traditions and what they believe about this sacred footprint.
This table really lays it all out, side by side. Buddhists believe it's the footprint of the Buddha himself. For Hindus, no, that's the mark left by Lord Shiva. The Islamic tradition says it's the very first place Adam set foot on earth after leaving the Garden of Eden, a belief some Christians share. And then another Christian tradition connects it to the Apostle St. Thomas. It's amazing. 4 different claims, all focused on one single spot.
For Muslims, this isn't just a story. It connects the peak, which they historically called Serendip, to the very beginning of the human story. It's seen as literally the starting point of our existence here on Earth.
Now, when you have a belief this powerful, shared across so many cultures, it's no surprise it inspired one of the world's most incredible pilgrimages. For more than 1,000 years, people from every walk of life have made the tough journey to the summit.
And this pilgrimage has a long, well-documented history. Legend says a king discovered the footprint over 2,000 years ago. By the 1300s, it was so famous that world travelers like Ibn Battuta just had to see it for themselves, and he even wrote about his own journey to the top.
If you were going to climb it today, you've got a few options. The Hatton Trail is the most popular, especially for tourists. But the Ratnapura route, that's the oldest one. They call it the King's Road. It's a lot tougher, but it's just steeped in history. Each path really has its own vibe.
The journey itself is just packed with tradition. Pilgrims don't just hike, they cleanse themselves in a freezing cold stream. They perform little rituals to remember stories of the Buddha, and they greet each other with the word for peace. Then, when they finally reach the top, they ring a bell once for every single time they've made the climb. It really transforms a physical challenge into something deeply spiritual.
So let's fast forward to the 21st century. What does this ancient site really mean today? Well, it represents this powerful ideal of religious harmony, but it's also facing some very real, very modern challenges. The sheer number of visitors is just staggering.
Every year, up to 5 million people make the climb. 5 million. On one hand, that shows you the mountain's incredible enduring power. But on the other, that puts an immense amount of pressure on this sacred and very fragile environment.
And this right here really highlights the central conflict. On one side, the mountain is this beautiful symbol, a sanctuary for all faiths, a rare beacon of unity. But the other side of the coin is the harsh reality. Some people call it a money-making opportunity, and it's dealing with serious problems like pollution, waste, and real damage to its unique ecosystem. This brings us to a really profound idea. Anthropologist Alexander McKinley suggests that maybe the mountain's most important lesson isn't just about how different groups of people can get along.
Maybe the real lesson is about recognizing our place within the larger natural world. A world that, just like the peak itself, is shared, it's sacred, and it's incredibly fragile. The mountain is basically asking us to see our own story as completely intertwined with the story of the non-human world around us.
Which leaves us with a final thought. If one single mountain can hold so many different truths, so many different realities all at once, what does that teach us about the stories we tell ourselves and about the one single world that we all have to share?